Hello guys, my name is Lasha and today I will be teaching you TOEFL lesson about reading skills. Last week we stopped on question 7, so we will continue from question type number 8 today. And we will discuss question types 8, 9 and 10 today, and of course we will do some exercises together to solve questions for these type of questions. Let me check if we are going live on YouTube and if everything is okay. Hi Tutku, you are here, so we can start the lesson. Good. So the video is okay and I hope my voice is also okay. Let's see Facebook as well, if we are streaming live on Facebook. Meanwhile, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels, and if you cannot see our videos on live, you can always watch the uploaded videos every day. They are uploaded on YouTube and Facebook channels. Also, you can use Twitter account and you can watch on Twitter as well. Just a minute. Let me check the Facebook. Yes, and we are live on Facebook as well. Good. So we stopped on question number 7 last lesson. So today we will continue with question type 8. Okay, question type 8 is about rhetorical purposes. Do you know what is rhetoric, guys? Do you know what is rhetorical or rhetoric? Rhetorical, it means when we already know the answer, but anyways we are asking it. It's something like you should know the answer, everybody should know the answer, but we are asking it anyways. And as for the TOEFL test questions, they are usually something like why the author uses this word, or why the author uses this sentence, or why the author uses this punctuation mark, for example, okay? This kind of question is the only type of question in TOEFL, I think, where you don't need to know English language well. I mean, if you translate the sentence directly in Turkish and any other language, Russian, Georgian, German, etc., the answer will be the same. Because here we pay attention to the structure of the sentence and the positioning of the sentence in the passage. Why does the author need to use this word? Why does the author need to use comma, for example? Or why does the author have to use brackets? Okay, the answers are usually in order to something, blah blah blah. So we are looking for reason of using some kind of word, sentence, or punctuation mark. Let me kind of summarize this information for you now. So the question is usually starting with why, and the answer is in order to, something like that. So question can be about a specific word, sentence, or punctuation marks. Do you understand punctuation marks, guys? Comma, full stop, brackets, question mark, these kind of things are punctuation marks, okay? Hi, Burak. Now, when you have these kind of questions, what do we need to do? How can we solve these type of questions? First of all, of course, you need to see the highlighted text, highlighted question, read the highlighted part and understand it. So read the question and highlighted part in the text. This is number one. For all types of questions, of course, first of all, you need to read the question and find this information in the text. Now, this one is very easy because they are highlighted in the text, so you can find very, very, very easily the highlighted part in the text. Then try to understand the relevance of this highlighted part or the phrase or a word only, okay? So understand the relevance of the word, phrase, sentence, why it is being used. And finally, compare the answer choices. Before we start solving the questions together, let me give you one example for this type of question. For example, you see in the passage something like this. I don't need any numbering here. Let's write like this. One more familiar use of blah, 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 blah. And it continues, okay? Now, why do you think the author uses the phrase one more familiar use? What's the purpose of using one more familiar use? It actually gives us two pieces of information. The first piece of information is that because we say one more, it refers to something in the past. It means that before this, another usage was already mentioned. So this is one more. Maybe we already talked about 2, 3, 5, 10 usages. Okay, so this is not the first. Okay, so one more gives us information that one or several uses had already been discussed. Okay, so this is about one more. Now, at the same time, we have here more familiar. What does it mean, more familiar? It is comparative, and probably you understand that we need to use more when you want to form the comparative case. Familiar, it is adjective, so more and adjective, it is comparative. So more familiar. What kind of information does this give us? Guys, I'm waiting for your comments. More familiar. When you see this phrase, more familiar, what can you imagine? Let's see your comments on YouTube or Facebook. So, more familiar. What information does this give to me? Similar. It can be, but not really, to be honest. Pay attention to the comparative, more familiar. When we say one more familiar use. It means, hello Eren. When we say more familiar use, it means that less familiar use has already been mentioned. Hi, Makinistman. This means less familiar uses, maybe one or maybe more than one. So let's write like this. Less familiar usage had already been mentioned. That's why now I say more familiar. So we talked about not familiar usages, and now I will say more familiar. Hello, Reyhan. Okay, guys, so we understand. Therefore, when you see one more familiar use, aha, I understand already in my mind that less familiar use, one use or maybe more than one use, had already been mentioned in the task. Okay? This is what kind of information it gives to us. Hi, Julie. Let's talk about some more examples. For example, if you see something like this, there is a sentence and then you see brackets. This is brackets, guys. Why do we need brackets? For example, there is a sentence, blah, 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 and then in brackets also we have something like this. Why does the author use the brackets? When do we need to use these brackets? Probably we have the same rule in every language, I guess. And it's very particular and meticulous question regarding the grammar. To describe something, it is okay, and Enes, your answer is amazing, to give extra information. Definitely correct. So when you see the brackets, this one gives extra information about something which was previously mentioned. Does it give alternative explanation? Yes, sometimes it can give alternative explanation. Do we need these brackets for example? No, definitely we don't need this for example. If you see a sentence and then you see column, why do we need column? In which situation do we need to use column? Tutku, you are also correct. Maybe we can give some more specific thing with brackets. What about column? Why do we need column? Umut has also joined us. Yes, Umut, to give types, to give some kind of list. So first usage is listing something. For example, I love fruits. Then you use column, apple, banana, and etc. Okay? So to list something or give more specific. Actually, it's also about listing. You are still listing. I love fruits. Then you say banana, apple, Mango, it is more specific type of food, but still we can say that it is about listing. If you have sentence, the sentence finishes and the next sentence starts with something like it means. Why does the author use this second sentence? Chisem says to explain something or give example. Definitely to explain something, but what kind of explanation do we give with it means? Let me help you with this one, guys. Actually, you don't need my help. Umut has very good answer. To explain the previous sentence to be more explicit. Correct. So, second sentence gives more specific or simple explanation. Okay? Maybe this first sentence was not very clear. It was difficult for the person to understand. Then when I use it means, I should give here easier explanation, more simple explanation. Okay? Good job. Simple definition or explanation. My advice to you is also when you do these kind of questions, pay attention to the possible answers of verb. For example, if your possible answer starts with simplifies, okay, so this is definitely this thing, okay? If your answer says gives example, exemplifies, provides more information, verb in the possible answer is key here, okay? I think it will be better if we look at some of the questions now and we try to solve them together. You will understand it much better and easier. Let me open the file for you, and we need to go to page number, not this one, sorry. This we did last week. Okay, here we have, here it is. So we see the first highlighted phrase, one more familiar use of electrochemistry, and then we have a question. The author begins the first paragraph with one more familiar use of electrochemistry in order to explain that xerography is one of the less familiar uses of electrochemistry, make it clear that electrochemistry requires photoconductive materials, show that xerography is the only known use for electrochemistry, or indicate that other less familiar uses have already been discussed. Usually we don't really need to read the whole sentence, but it depends on you, how experienced you are in these kind of questions. For me, I don't need to even read the paragraph. Already I can understand the answer. But because we are beginning, and we are on the beginning stage, let's read the sentence. One more familiar use of electrochemistry that has made its way into the mainstream is xerography, a process for replicating documents that is dependent on photoconductive materials. Guys, what do you think? Why the author begins the first paragraph with One more familiar use of electrochemistry. To explain that xerography is the less familiar use, make it clear that electrochemistry requires photoconductive materials. To show that xerography is the only known use for electrochemistry, or indicate that other less familiar uses have already been discussed. We already have first answer from Tutku. She thinks it is A. Alican thinks it is D. One of you is correct, guys. So it's a hint for other students. Don't write B or C. A or D is correct. Let's see now who agrees with Tutku and who agrees with Alican, and then we will explain why A is correct or why D is correct. Maybe you need to see the text also, so let me make it a little bit smaller. I think this is okay, still you can read the text. Tutku, what do you want to bet about? What should be our bet? One question, 10 liras. Okay. Alican bets 10 liras. Tutku, what is your bid? You need to bid the same or more. Do you have any answers from other students? Guys, A or D, which one do you think is correct for question number 1? A or D? Okay. I see perfect explanation again from Alican. You see here we have one more familiar use. So it means other uses are less familiar, but this one is more familiar. This usage is xerography. One more familiar use of electrochemistry that has made its way into the mainstream is xerography. So xerography is more familiar use. I see answer D indicates that other less familiar uses have already been discussed. This is totally correct. Thank you, Fanar and Umut. And as for A, why it's not correct? Because it says explain that xerography is one of the less familiar. No, it is one more familiar, not less familiar. Therefore, our answer for the question is definitely D. Let's see question number 2. Why does the author explain that a photoconductive material is an insulator in the dark but becomes a conductor when exposed to bright light? It gives an explanation of a property that is necessary for xerography. It indicates that bright light is required for insulation to take place. It gives one example of a successful xerographic process. It explains the role of insulation in xerography. Let's check this one in the passage. So, Something is wrong with my computer. Someone is trying to take my cursor. We see here, this is the sentence. When the question is about sentence, why does the author use the sentence? Of course, we need to read before that to understand how previous sentence and this sentence are linked to each other. Previous sentence says that xerography is a process for replicating documents that is dependent on photoconductive materials. And then we continue. A photoconductive material is an insulator in the dark but becomes a conductor when exposed to bright light. So, guys, look at the sentence before again, and I will show you possible answers, and we will choose together which one is the best answer for this. Ten more seconds, you can read, then I will go down. Here, we have the question over here. So why does the author explain this sentence? It gives an explanation of a property that is necessary for xerography. B, it indicates that bright light is required for insulation to take place. C, it gives one example of a successful xerographic process. Or D, it explains the role of insulation in xerography. Guys, which one do you think is correct answer for this question? Number 2, A, B, C, or D? Tutku says D, it explains the role of insulation in xerography. And Umut says C, it gives one example of a successful xerographic process. We have a lot of answer C's from students. Do you have other idea, guys? Does anybody think B or A maybe? I will tell you that it is not C. Why it's not C? Because it gives one example of a successful xerographic process. If we go back to the sentence, from which words do you understand that it is successful, and why do you think that it is example? It's not example, and I have no information about successful or not successful. So C is definitely not correct. If you disagree with me, please write your thoughts, and I will try to explain more why C is incorrect answer. Actually, I have explained something very similar to this when we started the lesson. I said if there is one sentence finished and then we have second sentence, how are they usually connected with each other? Maybe you should remember, you can remember from what I have already said. Pay attention to verbs. it gives an explanation, it indicates something, it gives example, it explains. So we said that it's not example. Then we have explanation of a property, indicate that bright light is required, or it explains insulation role. Does this sentence explain insulation role, or it explains a property, or it indicates why bright light is required? Which one do you think is correct answer, guys? A or B? Or D? I did not say that D is incorrect. C is not correct answer, so let's delete C. This is not true. Let's talk about possible answer B now. Some students think B is correct. It indicates that bright light is required for insulation to take place. Okay, where do we see bright light? Bright light we see in this sentence. But the question is about the whole sentence. Why is the whole sentence included in this part? So answer cannot be something which is mentioned only in this sentence. I don't see any bright light before this. Okay, so that's why B will not be correct answer. It explains the role of insulation in xerography. Let's check where is the role of insulation. Yes, it gives me information about insulation, but again, it gives me information in this sentence. So I cannot say the whole sentence is used to explain what is insulation, but the previous sentence finished with it is dependent on photoconductive materials. And the next sentence continues with a photoconductive material is blah blah blah. So definitely this sentence explains what is photoconductive material, yes? Now why do we need to explain photoconductive material? Because it was used in previous sentence and maybe a lot of people don't understand photoconductive materials. So therefore, this sentence gives explanation about photoconductive material. I see answer A. It gives an explanation of a property that is necessary for xerography. Property, photoconductive material is some kind of property, of course. Necessary for xerography. Let's check now if it is necessary for xerography. Dependent on photoconductive material. So when copying is dependent on photoconductive material, it means photoconductive material is definitely necessary for copying. So this part is correct about answer A. And also every time you see a sentence like this, sentence finishes with some difficult word or unknown terminology, and the next sentence starts with the same word and continues with the verb be, or also it can be the verb means. Definitely this one gives explanation of that thing. So here the answer is A. Guys, if you don't understand why A is correct answer, please tell me and I will explain again. Okay? Meanwhile, maybe we can move to question 3, and if someone doesn't understand question 2, again I will explain, there is no problem about it. Question 3. The author places the phrase small grains to which dry ink adheres in parentheses in order to. We already talked. Remember why we need these things? I call them brackets, but the official name is parentheses A, to provide information that contradict the previous statement. Do we need to use this for contradiction or for opposite information? Is A correct, guys? I guess sometimes my streaming is coming a little bit late to you. My question is, can A be correct? Do we give contradictory information with parentheses? Contradictory means opposite information. Do we give opposite information with parentheses? Is A correct, guys? Yes, Tutku, you are correct. A is not true. Now, B, provide another example of conductivity. Provide another example. Does it really give example? Guys, do you think it is example of something? Do we use parentheses for example? Or do we use for example, for example? How do we give example? What do we write or what do we use if we want to give example? Of course, we don't use it for example, and therefore we don't need B as correct answer here. C, provide further detailed information about toner. I see toner over here, and then after toner I see parentheses. So this information is about, of course, toner. Provide further detailed information about toner. Do you think C is correct, guys? Minel thinks yes, and actually I agree with Minel. This is correct answer. C is correct over here. Why not D? Let's see. Provide an alternate explanation for the effectiveness of toner. Not about effectiveness of toner, okay? provides explanation, this part is okay. But effectiveness, not okay. That's why D is not correct here. Let's see our last question for this text. Why is a laser printer mentioned? Here I see a laser printer. It is an alternate to xerography. It is a way of duplicating without using electrochemistry. It is a second example of xerography, or it is a less effective type of xerography than is a photocopier. When a laser printer is used, the image is projected by means of laser beam. If I see a sentence structure like this, I definitely understand answer is not in this sentence, but I'm looking for an answer in previous sentences. One sentence or maybe even more than one. As a result of conductivity, the drum loses its charge in the lighted areas and toner attaches itself only to the darker parts of the image. The grains are then carried to a sheet of paper and fused with heat. When a laser printer is used, the image is projected by means of laser beam. Tutku thinks it is A or B. Guys, I'm waiting for your answers. Do you have another idea about it, or do you agree with Tutku? We don't have another comment yet. From possible answers, I see that you need my help for this question, guys. So, in the beginning of the paragraph, we have one situation explained. As a result of conductivity, the drum loses its charge in the lighted areas and toner attaches itself to the darker parts of the image. The grains are then carried to a sheet of paper and fused with heat. Then it continues. When a laser printer is used, so first we explained one situation and then we have when a laser printer is used. So this one explains a second situation. Definitely the author uses when a laser printer. It's always trying to compare two things, give second thing. For example, I like walking in the rain, but when I walk in a sunny day, I feel very tired. Why do I give sunny day? Why do I say sunny day? To show second different situation, second type, second kind, okay? So definitely B is not correct and D is not correct because it doesn't have anything about second. No, we can talk about A or C. It's an alternative to zerography, so it means this way does not use zerography and it's not zerography. Or it's a second example of zerography. Still, it talks about copying image to the paper, so it is still somehow duplicating information to the paper, copying information. So it's not alternative to zerography. It is also kind of zerography. Therefore, correct answer for this question will be C. Okay. Do you understand my explanation, guys? Is it clear now why we need to use C as correct answer for this one? As I have said before, pay attention to verbs. It's very important. And also pay attention to some specific words. For example, for this question, alternative without less effective. These were keywords for my answers. Do you understand, guys, why C is correct answer, or do you want me to explain again and give more information about it? Is it clear why C is correct answer? Middle understand. I hope other students also understood it. So during this lesson, guys, we talked about rhetorical purpose questions. Maybe you need some practice with it, and my advice for these questions will be also to practice your native language grammar. Like, if you understand these things, the punctuation marks, everybody remembers school time, maybe middle school, maybe elementary school, I'm not sure. But for example, for me, I learned all the punctuation marks mainly in middle school, I can say. And of course, I did not want to learn all these kind of things. So yes, we use the punctuation marks, for example, but sometimes we don't really know when we need to use, why we need to use. So these questions are not just about knowledge of English, it's about grammar rules and structures for every language and the punctuation marks. So if you don't want to spend a lot of time practicing these kind of questions in English, you can also take just Turkish language grammar book about these kind of topics. When you need to use punctuation marks, which punctuation marks do you need to use in which situation? This will help you a lot for these kind of questions. Now let's have a break for 15 minutes, and 15 minutes later I will continue and we will do question type number 9 and question type 10. See you in 10 minutes. Hi again, I'm back. And as I have promised you, now we will discuss question types 9 and 10. But before I do that, let me tell you one thing. Question types 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are compulsory in the TOEFL exam. As for question type 9 and 10, they will not be in every passage. If you have question 9, you will not have question 10 in the passage, or the opposite. If you have question 10, you will not have question 9. Okay? Question 9 and question 10 are not 1-point questions, but 2 or 3-point questions, because they don't ask you only one correct answer. Usually they ask you 3 or 4 correct answers. Okay? The name of question type 9 is the summary question. So it asks you a short summary of the whole passage. There will be a question and there will be possible answers given. You need to choose from the possible answers which ones are correct. So what you need to do here is, of course, you have to read the possible answer choices. Read the possible answer choice. And you need to check some things. You need to check, is it mentioned in the passage? Is it mentioned in the passage? We have two ways. It is mentioned or it is not mentioned. So if it's not mentioned, this is not your answer. Okay, let me write it shorter, maybe skip. Okay, so if the possible answer choice is not mentioned in your passage, what do? You skip this one because this is not your answer. If it is mentioned, so if the situation is yes, then we need to continue again. Let me copy it again so we can make good graphic about it, what we need to do. So if it is mentioned, then you need to check whether this information is main or not main. Is it major detail related to the question or not a major detail? I need to make like this and I don't know how to do it. Okay, guys, let me do one thing and let me cheat. It's very difficult when you use Office programs which is not in your language and you can't understand well. So if it is mentioned, okay, we have this situation when it is mentioned. Then you need to check whether this is main idea, major detail, again we have two possible answers, it is not major detail. If it's not major detail, you skip it. Or it is a major detail, yes. If it's not major detail, you just skip it. This is not your answer. If it is major detail, then this is your answer. Okay, so you understand what we need to do. Yes, first, read the possible answer choice. Check it in the passage. Is it mentioned? If not mentioned, skip. If it is mentioned, then continue the process. Is it a major detail about the question? If no, skip it. If yes, okay, this is your answer. It looks very simple, and actually it is easily manageable to do. And because this question is always the last question in the text, already you have some idea about the text. Already you know what are the main things discussed in the text, so it will not be very difficult to do this kind of question. Let's check now some questions for this type of question here. We have text about island plant life, and the question, this passage discusses the ways that plant life is able to develop on islands. So we need 1, 2, 3 answers, and we have 6 possible answers. What you need to do is you need to check number 1. Then you need to check number 2, number 3, and so on. But it might take a little bit time. So let's do like this. Now, let's read maybe all of them, and then let's read the passage. Normally, it is better to read just number 1. Check this one in the passage. Is it mentioned or not mentioned? Is it major detail or not major detail? And then choose. Okay? But now we don't have time to do like that, so let's change. Let's read all possible answers, then we read the passage, and if we find the same information or no, then we will check. So number 1 says some seeds are able to float great distances in the air. Number 2, some plant life existed before islands were cut off from larger bodies of the land. Number 3, some islands have many different varieties of plants. Number 4, birds sometimes carry seeds to islands. 5, some islands were created when rising water cut them off from larger bodies of land. And number 6, some plant seeds are carried to islands by the wind. Okay. I kind of remember the possible answers. When I read the passage, I will be able to check them easily. Islands are geographical formations that are completely surrounded by water, yet many islands are covered with a rich assortment of plant life. It may seem surprising that so much plant life exists on many islands, yet there are surprisingly simple explanations as to how the vegetation has been able to establish itself there. Some islands were formerly attached to larger bodies of land, while others were created on their own. This gives me, I think, information about something. Based on this sentence, I think I can find one answer. If you look at this sentence, guys, Which answer is correct based on this? Oh, hi Perishad. Maybe I can continue reading one more sentence and you can understand the answer better. Islands that were created when flooding or rising water levels cut them off from their neighbors often still have the plant life that they had before they were cut off. Which answer do you think, guys, that we can already choose based on these parts of the passage? Which answer choice can we already say is answer for this question? Minel says number 2, some plant life existed before islands were cut off from larger bodies of the land. Yes, I agree with you. We already know that this one is true. Then we continue reading. In cases where islands formed out of the ocean, they may have plant life from the neighboring lands, and even though they were never actually attached to the neighboring lands. Winds carry many seeds to islands. This one also gives me answer, I think. Winds carry many seeds to islands. Some plants produce extremely light seeds that can float thousands of feet above the earth and then drift down to islands where they can sprout and develop. This one also gives me an answer to one of the question, one of the possible answer choice. Fanner says number 6, some plant seeds are carried to islands by the wind. Yep, Fanner, you're correct. This information we already have. Let's continue reading. Birds also carry seeds to islands. As birds move over open stretches of water, they can serve as the transportation system to spread seeds from the place to place. Do we have anything about birds maybe? We need one more correct answer, guys. Number 1, 3, 4, or 5. Which one do you think is correct? 1, 3, 4, or 5? We have possible answers from Tutku and Fanar. Number 4, and yes, girls, both of you are right. Number 4 is true. So do you understand, guys, what we need to do in these kind of passages? Yes, we need to check if the information is mentioned and if the information is major detail or not major detail of the passage. For example, let's see number 1. Some seeds are able to float great distances in the air. Let's see if we have something about these ones. Hi, Nino. We have this information. Some plants produce extremely light seeds that can float thousands of feet above the earth and then drift down to islands where they can sprout and develop. Yes, but here the key is that winds carry these things. Okay, so this is the major thing, that wind brings these seeds. So this information is mentioned, but it is not the major detail of the passage. Number 3, some islands have many different varieties of plants. Okay, yes, islands have different varieties of plants, but this is not the way. This is not the way how plant life is developed, okay? And number 5, some islands were created when rising water cut them off from larger bodies of land. This information is also mentioned, but this cannot be answered to the question because it's not giving us the major detail that we need for this passage. Okay, I hope you could understand what we need to do in these kind of questions. And in this case, because you have 3 possible answers, this will be a 2-point question. If you have 3 correct answers, you will get 2 points. If you have 2 correct answers, you will get 1 point. And if you have only 1 correct answer or 0 correct answer, you will get 0 point. Okay? And we have the last type of question of TOEFL, question type number 10 that we need to discuss. Question number 10 is about, not summary, it was copied from above. Question type 10 is about schematic questions, okay? There is some kind of scheme and we need to explain the scheme. Fanar, what do you think that is not fair? You mean the points, yes? If you have 1 correct answer, you get 0 point. It's not fair, you mean, I guess. Because this is last question, that's why you already understand a lot of things from the passage, and you should have more than 1 correct answer. For schematic questions, they are usually asking you to categorize some information. You will have some categories, and then you will have possible answers. You need to match which one is correct about which one is true about which one. The questions usually asks something like this: the passage discusses and blah 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 blah. Again, this is the final question. If you see question 9 type in the passage, you will not have question type 10. If you see question type 10, you won't have question type 9. So it will be 9 or 10. And there will be some categories. For example, your passage talks about cats and dogs. Okay? And then your passage at the end gives you schematic table, cats, dogs, and some possible answers. You need to say which one is correct about cats, which one is correct about dogs. There will be more possible answers than you need. So some of the answers can be extra. Okay? How do we need to solve the questions? We need kind of same system as we have done here. So let me copy it and I will make some modifications to it. You need to read the possible answer choice. Then you need to check, is it mentioned in the passage? If not mentioned, this is not correct answer. If it is mentioned, then you need to check, is it related to any categories? Is it related to any categories? You need to check. If no, this is not your answer. If yes, this is your answer. For which category it's about, for that category, this is your answer. This is one way how you can solve these kind of questions. Second way, I think, and more time-saving way, is a little bit different. Read the possible answers, all of them, then identify your category, find information about this category in the passage, and check all possible answers. Because, for example, you are looking for something and maybe it's not mentioned, so you have wasted some of your time. Or maybe it is mentioned, but it is not related to any categories. It's about, let's say, it's about birds, but your question is not about birds. Your question is about dogs and cats. So I don't think that it is a very good idea to do like this, although this is official way how you should solve. I'm showing you my way. Just read the information that you need. For example, your question is about cats. Read the things about cats and check which answer is correct about cats. Then next one is about dogs. Okay, find information about dogs in the passage and check which possible answers match information discussed in the passage about dogs. Let's go back to the book and let's see these kind of questions. Okay, here we go. We have passage about sand dunes. Then we have categories here: ridge dunes, star-shaped dunes, and crescent dunes. Plus we have 7 possible answers. You need 2 answers for ridge dunes. You see here 2 bullet points, so 2 answers here. 1 answer for star-shaped dunes and 2 answers for crescent-shaped dunes. So, okay, Tutku, I will zoom, of course. So we have 1, 2, 3 categories. I need 5 answers, but we have 7 possible answers. It means 2 answers are extra and we don't need 2 answers. This question is worth 3 points. If you have 5 correct answers, you will get 3 points. If you have 4 correct answers, it is 2 points. 3 correct answers is 1 point, and 2, 1 or 0 correct answer is 0 points. Fanar, you will get very angry now with the system, I think. You will say it's not fair. But even if you have 2 correct answers, you get 0 point. Nothing for 2 correct answers. Now let's do my way, what I have told you. So first we read the possible answers, then we find regions in the passage and check which one is correct about regions. Possible answer A, 1. Form when winds from various directions blow over small amounts of sand. Here my keyword is various directions and small amount. Second one, form when winds from one direction blow small amount of sand. Sentence number 3, form when winds from various directions blow large volumes of sand. Question 4, form when winds from one direction blow large volume of sand. 5 are circular dunes in the middle of desert. Maybe middle of desert can be also key. Are ridges of sand in the middle of desert. Are generally not found in the middle of deserts. Okay, so I identified my keywords, how I can check it easily and decide which one is correct for which one. Now let's see ridge dunes and find ridge dunes in the paragraph. Guys, which paragraph gives me information about ridge dunes? Paragraph 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which paragraph gives me information about ridge dunes? Which paragraph should I read? Yes, Tutku, you are correct. I should read paragraph 2. Ridge dunes form where there are large amounts of sand, generally in the interiors of deserts, and winds blow in one direction. What are my keywords in this sentence, guys? What can I check? What do you remember from possible answers? Amount. Okay, so I highlight large amount. What else? Direction. Okay. One direction. And maybe I have one more key information that I can check. I remember there were some questions about desert, so I will also identify the interiors of deserts. Okay, now let's go back to the possible answers and check if I have any answer with this information. First one says, form when winds from various directions blow over small amount. And I check, not small amount, I need large amount and one direction. Good job, Fanar, you're correct. So I need large and various. Which answer is correct, guys? Minel, you are correct. Number 4 is true here. How do I write something? Maybe I can do like this. So number 4 should go for ridge dunes because we have one direction, large volume, one direction, large amount. Now, interiors of deserts. Do we have anything about interiors of desert? No, we have middle, middle, middle. So we don't have another answer so far. Let's continue reading maybe. Under these conditions, parallel ridges of sand, known as transfer dunes, form at right angles to the wind. Actually, we should already understand also second answer. What is interior, guys? Interior is internal part of something. So it's not exterior, but it is interior. Interior, it means inside. Exterior means outside. But when we are talking about desert, interior of the desert will be, of course, the middle. Tutku, you are correct. So also we understand that ridge dunes are in the middle. Let's see which one gives us answer for that one. Guys, which one do you think is correct answer as well? Number 4 and number Tutku and Fanar, both of you are correct. Number 6 should also go here. Sorry for this one, I will try to make it better. Okay, so number 4 and number 6 are answers for ridge dunes. Next one, we need star-shaped dunes. Which paragraph gives me information about star-shaped dunes, guys? Number 1, 3, or 4? Which paragraph should I read? Yes, Minel and Tutku, you are correct. I need paragraph 3. When the direction of the wind changes so that it comes from different directions, okay, I identify here different directions, star-shaped dunes form from the massive amounts of sand in the desert interiors. Funner, we have 2 correct answers, but 0 point. Now we need 1 more correct answer to get a point. So, star-shaped dunes, different directions, massive amount of sand, and interiors. Let's see if we have something like that. Hello, Olcay. So we need different directions and massive amount. Which one is correct answer, guys? Different directions and massive amount. Number 1, 2, or 3? Yes, Tutku. Massive means large, big. Tutku, Minel, and Fanar, all of them think number 3, where wind from various directions blow over large volumes of sand. Yes, guys, you are correct. This one should go here. Number 3 is for star-shaped dunes. Adem, you're also correct. Now let's see the last one, crescent dunes. Crescent dunes will be probably in paragraph 4, I think. Let's see. Yes, here we have crescent dunes form on the edges of deserts where there is less sand and where the wind blows mainly in one direction. So, edge of desert. Do you know what is edge, guys? Do you know the meaning of edge? Less sand and one direction. So my question is, do you understand? Do you understand the meaning of edge? Yes, Tutku, you are correct. Edge means not the middle, but the last part of something. So, less sand and one direction. Let's check. Less sand and one direction. I see one direction for 2 and I see one direction for 4. But number 4 is already used. Therefore, which answer do I need for crescent dunes? Okay, I see answer from Tutku and Fanar. Number 2, yes, guys, number 2 should go for this one, crescent dunes. And I need also one more answer. See, there are 2 answers for this question. Let's continue reading and check if we have other information. These dunes, which are also known as birchen dunes, are less stable than star-shaped dunes and can shift as much as 20 meters per year as winds blow over the outer curves of the crescent in the direction of the pointed ends. Okay, what can be my keyword here? Maybe less stable and shift 20 meters. Number 1, definitely no. 2, 3, 4, we have already used. 5 or 7 are circular dunes in the middle of deserts or are generally not found in the middle of deserts. Tutku thinks number 7 are generally not found in the middle of deserts. Okay, let's check this one. Edges of desert. So edge is not the middle. So crescent dunes are not in the middle of desert. Therefore, number 7 is definitely correct. And I need number 7 here. Now, why not number 5? 5 says are circular. Crescent, we talked about this word last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. It means something like a new moon. Moon is not circular shape, so 5 is not correct. And Number 1 is also not correct because it says various directions and small amount of sand. Therefore, ridge dunes 4 and 6, star-shaped dunes number 3, crescent dunes 2 and 7. These are our answers. And we have finished question 9, type number 10. So let's review a little bit what we have done today. Today we've learned rhetorical purpose questions and summary type of questions and also the schematic questions. With this lesson, we finished the reading section of TOEFL exam because there are totally 10 types of questions in your TOEFL reading exam, and we have discussed all of them one by one. First 8 types of questions are 1-point questions, and they are compulsory during the exam, while question 9 and 10 are not compulsory. You will have 9 or 10, but not both for each passage. And they are not 1-point questions, but 2 or 3-point questions. You may need a little bit more time for question number 9 when you are doing it on a separate text, but believe me, when you have already done other types of questions about the text and you see question number 9, it will be much easier because you already know a lot of things about the passage. You have already understood a lot of things and you know what the main points and main topics are. Therefore, during the exam, it will not be very difficult. Tutku has a question. Have we finished the reading part? Yes, Tutku, we have finished the reading part for TOEFL exam, and next week I will try to practice listening and speaking skills of TOEFL exam with you. Meanwhile, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels on YouTube and Facebook. And if you like our lessons, you can also like our videos and write some good comments on YouTube or Facebook. If you have any questions, guys, I'm here to answer. If there are no questions, then we can finish the lesson for today. I wish you very good evening, and from tomorrow we will be able to go out and maybe do some shopping or some other things that we need to do, but please try to stay at home to protect yourself, your family members, and everyone else. And if you really need to go outside, practice social distancing of minimum 2 meters away from other people. And I hope we will all stay safe and healthy. There's a question from Tutku. Writing has been done, teacher. Yes, we did writing, only 2 lessons, yesterday and 1 week before that. We have finished reading and writing modules, so next week we will have a listening and speaking sections of TOEFL examination. Thank you guys for watching and have a good evening. Bye bye.